Do you know all of the benefits for having a VA disability? I wanted to record this episode today so that anybody listening kind of knows what is out there. I've been kind of shocked just in my own research and going through my own VA claims process as to all the benefits that are out there for disabled vets. So I just wanted to have a quick episode to go through that and to make sure I include a few that are, I'd say, relatively under the radar or lesser known benefits, especially for 100% disabled veterans. We'll go through kind of the list. I'll talk broadly at what these are at each rating, just the key breakpoints. This is not an exhaustive list. Disclaimer, I'm not a VA disability expert. I've gone through this process for myself. I did get a rating. It's not 100, but I do know something about this just from going through it myself, doing research, just talking to others, and certainly helping clients through this process. I have lots of clients that certainly have ratings themselves. So number one, miscellaneous. I'll just say this: commissary and exchange privileges, 10-point preference for hiring, a burial plot. And there's kind of just a number of things. And I'll put this link in the show notes to the official VA website where it lists out like 0%, 10%, 20%, 30%, 40%, etc. If you don't know what a VA disability is, maybe that's a good place to start too. But most people listening to this will know what that is and what those percentages kind of correspond to. So the number one is just kind of those miscellaneous benefits. Number two, I would say, is the VA loan funding fee is waived at 10% service-connected disability. So that's a big one. So for those of us that are going to use our VA loan past active duty, we're going to have to pay that funding fee if we're not rated. So if we have at least a 10% rating, we'll avoid that funding fee. And if we're putting zero down, right, that's 3.3% on a subsequent use that we're able to avoid. So pretty substantial, especially if we have two spouses, lots of former active duty spouses that are now dual veteran couples. If we can stack those on top of each other and we're both rated at least 10%, we can then avoid that funding fee. Pretty powerful. Okay, number three, compensation. So this is the obvious one. Lots of compensation, anywhere from, $150, I think at the lowest, all the way up to, somewhere, depending on if you have kids, just shy of 4,000 or maybe over 4,000 if you're 100%. So certainly something to look into. Go look at the potential compensation you could get if you haven't claimed yet. Certainly good to know about. So just to give you an example of how beneficial that really is, a 100% disabled veteran with no dependents, no spouse, is going to get $38.36 a month tax free. It's about $1,500 more than the 90% rating. So very, very substantial. I've had several clients while I'm working with them go from 90 to 100, and it's a very substantial bump, and it's very common to do. The way the rating system works, right? If we're 91 or 92 or 93%, 94%, right? It's going to round down to 90. We have to hit that 95% threshold for it to round up to 100. So it is very difficult to get to 100. Once you're at 90, you only have 10% left of you that could potentially be rated. Even if I got a 40% additional rating on top of my 90, it's only going to add 4 percentage points because it's only 4 out of that 10. So hard to do, but certainly that compensation is a big deal. So the $38.36 a month tax free, it's kind of like having a $1.2 million portfolio that we're able to draw from with no risk. We know it's not going down in value. It's there. It's like the most guaranteed portfolio in the world, except it won't be there when we're gone, right? So that's why a portfolio is nice to have that we can draw down on for retirement income as well, because it'll be there when we're gone. But just to show you kind of how to think about how valuable this pension really is, or this VA compensation really is. Okay, number four, healthcare. The big breakpoints here, 10% VA disabled in a rated disability, you're going to get anywhere from 10 to 40, you're going to get free healthcare at a VA facility for that disability, right? So if I am rated 40%, I've got a back, I've got a foot, and I've got a shoulder, I'm going to get free VA healthcare for those items for the rest of my life. Pretty cool. Once you hit 50% though, it's free healthcare period through the VA, okay? So 50% is a key threshold for many to get that free healthcare for life for themselves. The next big one for healthcare is going to be 100%. That's going to be free healthcare for you and your family through Champ VA. I don't, not everybody takes advantage of this because people get jobs and the healthcare is maybe more accessible and maybe there's less of a wait for an appointment. Some people live in areas where the VA isn't maybe their best option. They're not, they've heard bad things about it, so they don't end up using it. But 100% disabled, you and your family could get free healthcare for life. So just really good to know about. Number 5, student loan forgiveness. This is kind of one of those foot stompers. I think one of the antithesis of this episode was this one specifically. So 100% TPD, total permanent disability discharge. So how this works, if you are 100% disabled veteran, total and permanent, you can get a one-time discharge of any loan that you have. So many veterans at that point that are 100% disabled, maybe they have their own loans, right? So it certainly applies to those. It's a one-time discharge. I'll have a link to this in the show notes to go read more. It's a one-time discharge of all your student debt. It's been done before. I've seen cases with hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt forgiven. I think the really kind of the second level of this is when parents can take out loans for their kids to attend, let's just say, I'm just making up a school, right? Harvard. We can take out $200,000. Our kid can go to Cornell, Northwestern, any pick an expensive school. And then those, as long as we're taking those out in the parent name, so they're called Parent Plus loans, we could get those 100% forgiven one time. It's a one-time deal. But there are cases of people applying for this and it getting approved for hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt for a 100% TPD discharge. So super powerful. Wouldn't recommend just banking on it though. Like everything with the government, subject to change, lots of administrivia, lots of paperwork, who knows? I would probably save the money in a 529, have the money available on taxable brokerage, whatever it may be. Plan on paying that loan off if you're going to pursue a strategy like this. And then if it gets forgiven, great. It's just a plus. We don't have to worry about it. Okay. Property tax exemption in some states. So just totally depends. Some states will exempt, you have to look up your specific state. Some states, if you're 100% disabled, will exempt up to 50 grand of the value from your assessed value. Other states will exempt you from property taxes completely. Texas is one of these off the top of my head. There's no property taxes down there for 100% disabled veterans. Some states are going to be more friendly towards veterans than others, but just to check it out in your state could be pretty beneficial depending on what kind of property you've got. If it's $5,000 a year in property tax we're avoiding, even if it's $1,000, I'll add with this. Also could be vehicle registration. I can tell you here in Colorado, if you're total and permanent disabled, one vehicle, your vehicle's free registration, which could also save you quite a bit every year. So just something to look into the state specific benefits. Obviously you can't go through all these on the show, but you'll want to look those up in your state. Okay. So Chapter 35 benefits. This is for children or spouse of a totally disabled veteran. Also for those who the service member died in the line of duty, all kinds of things. So I'll again, put a link to the official website on this from the VA. But basically what this is scholarship for more tuition assistance, if you will. Tuition assistance is probably not the right word. It's like another GI Bill, if you will, is a good way to think about it. So you could not only have 100% GI Bill that you've passed to your beneficiaries, you could also have your child or spouse that is eligible to use the Chapter 35 benefits if you're 100% disabled. And those benefits can also be used along with the GI. They just can't be used in the same semester at the same school, that kind of thing. You can't cross them over. But this stacks on top of that 100% GI Bill benefit. So again, super, super powerful. You'll have to talk to your local office about your specific situation, but they will pay you a stipend, kind of like the GI Bill. So I'm just reading this straight off the website. For institutions of higher learning, the monthly rates are for courses at colleges and universities. They'll pay up to the rate listed based on how many courses you're taking, right? So if you're full-time enrollment, that's $1,536 for each full month and down from there. So just good to know about. Again, more benefits if you are 100% disabled. This is another kind of foot stomper to know about. Okay, lastly, in-state tuition for free in some states if you're, again, 100% disabled. This is kind of a wild one as well. Depending on what state you're in, some states this doesn't exist, but some states are doing like total in-state tuition for free to children of 100% disabled veterans. So really good to know about. I think as you're doing your college planning, really to look around, see if there's a program like that in your state. Again, I've got a link in the show notes for pretty much each one of these to point you towards a resource to look up your specific state and what might apply to you. Certainly Can't go through all those on here, but there are states out there that are giving 100% free tuition to children of disabled veterans. So pretty powerful. I think summing it up, when you add up the potential, lifetime benefits of everything I just listed, even for a 10, 20% disabled veteran, when you look at compensation healthcare, like we're talking tens of thousands of dollars, right? When you get into the 50, 60, percent, we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars. And certainly when you get to the 100%, we're talking millions of dollars, not only in benefits directly, but potentially some of these ancillary benefits such as student loan forgiveness, property tax exemption, Chapter 35 benefits, in-state tuition for free, the compensation, the healthcare, VA loan funding fee being waived. It all adds up. So in conclusion, know your benefits. If you're rated, make sure you're rated properly. If you need to get increased, get with somebody, get with the VSO, get with one of the private companies that might help you prepare your claim and get an increase. I haven't used one of them myself, but probably well worth it if you do get an increase. If you haven't filed a VA claim, file, and you think you should retroactively, certainly go do that. If you're still on active duty, get everything documented. It's not about getting one over on the government. It's just about getting what you legally are entitled to. If you had injuries or things happen to you medically while on active duty, you are legally, by law, entitled to these benefits, and you should go get those benefits that you deserve. So I hope that this was a helpful episode. Hopefully for somebody that's listening, one of these applies to them, or maybe a loved one or a family member. Let me know if you have any questions. Again, I'm not the expert completely on this stuff. I've just done research, certainly in my role as a financial planner, and then going through my own claims process. So I hope this was helpful. Thank you for being here, and we will see you back in a couple of weeks. Thank you for joining us today. Do you want the exact financial planning framework that I use with clients? Go visit baskinfp.com, where you can grab a free download of the ultimate military and veteran financial checklist to give you the bluff on what you need to be doing to manage your finances. We'll be back next week with some more content to help you on your journey to financial freedom. See you then.